Hello there, this is Dana Arcuri from danaarcuri.com, and today I wanted to share a true life story about my baby who was healed, miraculously healed, over 18 years ago. And so I wanted to share this especially today. Today is Pro-Life March Day, and I wanted to just give a little insight, whether you're pro-choice or pro-life. This is my own twist and my own 2 cents worth on the topic, and because it really is something to do with my life and has a great impact on my choice and on basically what happens when you surrender your will for God's will. And so 18 years ago, I was 6 months pregnant and I didn't know the gender, but I was having problems. And based on the fact that I already had 2 other kids, 2 other pregnancies, I already knew what a regular pregnancy was like. And so when I was comparing this 3rd pregnancy with the other 2, I had red flags. There was really strange movements happening in vitro, in the uterus. And at 6 months, I finally knew I had to go see a specialist. So it's called a perinatologist, which is a high-risk specialist for women who are pregnant and having complications. And so I went to this specialist and he did testing, and he said to me that there was a chance my unborn child was having seizures while she was in me. There was not enough adequate oxygen going to this baby, and that this baby had encephalitis. Now, encephalitis is inflammation of the brain. So, short way to say it, my child potentially had brain damage. And so if I would have been pro-choice, I could have easily aborted this child, not given it one thought, could have said, hey, this is my body and I can't chance the high risk of brain damage in this unborn child, and I'm just going to do away with it and move on with my life. But instead, I came home from the hospital and really had to think about this, and I felt like God giving me these words. I felt him pressing into me, and I'm going to share today exactly what he said. He said, number 1, don't cave into fear. Don't give the enemy a foothold. Instead, stand strong on my promises. And what are his promises about the unborn child? He says in Psalm 139:13 through 14, for you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. And so right then and there, I made the decision I would honor God's word, that regardless of what the doctor said, regardless of the fear that was paralyzing me, I had to stand firm on God's word because it is truth, because it is life. And regardless of whether this baby would be born with disabilities, with brain damage, or maybe even be a stillborn and her life would be over, I knew that I had to trust God. And so I ended up just doing that and doing a lot of praying, doing a lot of standing on his promises, because that was the only thing to hold me on when my heart was crying out. I mean, no mom wants to lose their baby. No mom wants to have to experience complications in their pregnancy. And it was a very frightening time for me. But the story unfolds that I could have been pro-choice. I could have aborted this child. I could have said, it is my body and I will do what I please. And that child's life didn't matter. But I know that God's word says this child does matter, because I knit this child in your womb, because I am the maker of each person. I am the one who will fearfully and wonderfully sew you and design you to be something beautiful, because you're wonderful, because I created you. And nevertheless, I gave it to God, and several weeks later I had to go back for testing, in which the ultrasound had a whole new interesting prognosis, and the neonatologist said, I have no medical explanation. I have no explanation, because a few weeks ago, things were in really dire condition. And for whatever reason, for unknown reasons, this has totally resolved itself. Your baby is healthy. Your baby is fine. And so I look back now. I mean, it's 18 years. Here's a picture of Rihanna. Rihanna when she was just a baby. She was adorable, my little angel. My little angel. She's now 18 years old. She's come a long way, and praise be to God, she doesn't have brain damage. Okay, so the story is I am pro-life, and I believe that, yes, our bodies are our own. And yes, we have options and we have choices. And in a way, I don't even want to go there on that. I just want to go with God's word is the word. God's promises are bigger than what our doctors say. We might be told, maybe right now you're told that you have a complicated pregnancy. Maybe you have an unwanted pregnancy and you never even wanted this child to be conceived, and accidents do happen, and I get that. But you know what? God has a purpose for every child, even the unwanted children. And so, people who are pro-choice always will use that argument. Well, what if there's rape, or what if there's a medical problem? I'm living proof today, people. I'm living proof. There was a medical complication. I had every reason to consider giving up this pregnancy. I had every reason to fall into the trap of the secular world and to just say, you know what? It's my body and I'm going to do what I want, and I can't risk this. And I don't want to be troubled. I mean, God forbid you're troubled with a high-risk child. But you know what? I am so grateful today that, number one, I didn't succumb to the enemy's little schemes to kill, destroy, and lie, and to take away from us what God has promised us. And he promised us beautiful blessings. We are to walk in obedience. And I walked the walk. You could all the time talk all you want and preach all you want, but you know what? When you lay down your life and you lay down your will and you are facing dire circumstances, such as a complication in your pregnancy, such as brain damage, such as encephalitis, it's scary. But when you lay down your life and you surrender to God, anything is possible. Anything is possible. And whether this child would have been born with brain damage, or whether this child, of course, we know the outcome, was born healthy. Either way, I love this baby. Why? Because it came from God. Why? Because God helped create this child. This child was knit in my womb. This child has a purpose. And so I'm grateful today that I chose life, that I chose to just trust in the midst of darkness. And I just pray today that you are able also to see that, regardless of it being your body, to know that God has a way and it's above our way. His thoughts are not our thoughts. Delve deep into his word, lean on his promises, no matter what you're going through, whether it is medical problems, whether it is a broken marriage, whether it is an accidental pregnancy, whether it is an addiction. The bottom line is we either fight and fight and fight in the flesh, or we just take a step back, let go, and let God do what he promises to do. And so today, I pray this gives you hope. I pray that if you are questioning, how you feel about pro-life or pro-choice, I really don't want to argue. I'm just stating that I'm thankful today that I chose life. I'm thankful today that I chose to believe when I had every right to not believe. And so God did do a miraculous healing upon my daughter, and I am blessed. And it has been extremely rewarding to be a mom. And anyways, if you wanted to capture the whole story, go to my memoir, Harvest of Hope, Living Victoriously Through Adversity. Shares several rock bottom stories. My daughter was only one of the miraculous healings, but there is many amazing miracles that God has done in my life. And if you go into other videos of mine, you'll hear my own stories to do with different prescription addictions and overcoming some serious challenges. I'm blessed because so many times God has touched my life or touched my children or touched something or someone who's a part of my family and turned it around for good. And so today I just pray that you could trust that whatever you're facing, God can turn it around for good. Let it go, let God, and keep on keeping on. You could visit me at DanaArcuri.com, like this page, share it, subscribe to it, and I just wish you a happy day. Bye-bye.